Good morning, friends. This video is for the beginner who wants to learn how to be part of the sport of Schutzhund. This is being brought to you by Van Gantehaus German Shepherds. Please visit us at vangantehaus.com. Here you're seeing a dog doing healing, and prior to that you saw the protection phase, and then you're going to see the tracking phase. The tracking phase, the protection phase, and the healing phase. All three components combined to form a 300-point score in the sport of IGP, previously called Schutzhund. So this video is for the beginner who wants to learn how to be involved in this sport. And to be involved in the sport, you need a breed that can do the sport, not a husky. If you want to have a modicum of success, you need either a German Shepherd or a Malinois. Other breeds might include the Rottweiler, the Doberman Pinscher, the American Bulldog, and the Boxer. All come to mind. Less common breeds would be the French Bresseron, the Breyer, the Giant Schnauzer. All these breeds can also do this sport. This video aims to instruct the beginner where to start. And where to start is to find a club and people who are involved in this sport to help you in your journey in this sport. So in the first half of this video, we show you the three components, protection, obedience, and tracking. And in the latter half of this video, we show you the websites where you can get information and find out how to find clubs. So here you see a dog footstep tracking, which is a component of the sport. And this is a form of olfactory obedience. So the dog learns to follow a scent and not give up easily. And our search and rescue dogs come from the genetic lines of German Shepherds, which have been trained in this sport and who have been selected to perform at this level. So enjoy the video. Please like and subscribe our channel. We're trying to grow our channel and bring you more content like this. This is an educational channel, and some of our videos will have a live speaker, and some of our videos will just provide content. Please click like and subscribe, and we hope to make you a permanent viewer of our channel. Please comment below with any suggestions. We look forward to hearing from you, and we look forward to you viewing our dog-related content. Sit back and enjoy, and maybe take some notes, and this will help you as you be familiar with the sport of Schutzhund and how to find resources for this sport.
So if you're new to IGP, which used to be called Schutzhund, the first thing you'll need is a couple of dog websites for this sport. The first one is www.germanshepherdDog.com, which we're going to cover. The next one is gscdca.org, which is an overall general purpose German Shepherd website, more involved in conformation, but also involved in the dogs breeding and German Shepherd information in general. The next website is dvg-america.com, which is involved in other breeds besides the German Shepherd in the sport of Schutzhund. And the last is the awdf.net, which is the American Working Dog Federation, which includes other breeds besides the German Shepherd. And last but not least is the American Schutzhund/PSA website. These will be invaluable resources if you're a newcomer to the sport of IGP, IPO, and let's explore some of these websites and how to navigate. And this is not comprehensive, but I invite you to look through them and navigate on your own. So the first one we're going to bring up is the GermanShepherdDog.com website. As you can see, it's divided into various regions: Northeast, Southeast, across different geographies in the United States. So we're going to go to this website. You can find the clubs, events. The first thing you want to do is find a club near you. And the way we're going to go about it is we're going to go through what events are scheduled in a specific area, and as a consequence, find a club. So we're going to select clubs and events. We're going to pick the Northeast. I'm in New Jersey. That's why I'm going to pick the Northeast. Once we click on New Jersey, and we're going to click Northeast, which New Jersey is part of. Virginia is part of it. Pennsylvania is part of it. New York is part of it. So anything in the Northeast. So here are the trial dates. Here's one in July, and the various clubs which have trials in July. So you can see some are in Virginia, some are in Pennsylvania, some are in Maryland, And so as you see the trial dates, what you're also going to see is the location of the club hosting the trial and the name of the owner of that club. Here are trials in October, for example. So as a consequence of learning the trial uh, date, you will also see the names of the owners of various clubs and their respective locations. You will see the phone number as well as the email address. And I invite you to contact these various clubs near you geographically and make an appointment to go out to the club, see if you vibe with the people in that club and the training director. And if you vibe, I suggest you sign up for that club and make it your home club. Schutzhund is not possible to be done on your own. You have to belong to a club. So here's another way to find a club near you. This page right here. It shows you the name of the club, the website or Facebook page of that club, and various things you need to find the owner of that club. So you can look for the owner of clubs through the trial events, or you can look at it through this page. And of course, you would click on the page in your location versus I'm just doing Northeast. So this is a very valuable resource for the beginner to find a club in order to belong to a club. There are other resources on this website regarding breeding. It has confirmation trials for the show enthusiast. The next website is the gsdca.org. In this website, you will find more information regarding showing and show events for the German Shepherd versus Schutzhund trials. But this is an important aspect of the breed because the dog must not only pass a Schutzhund title, must also pass confirmation. So this gsdca.org website shows the confirmation shows by location, just like the other website showed Schutzhund trials by location. Um, this website also offers you a lot of information about the German Shepherd breed standard. It talks about the breeding standards. There's various things you can find on the website, and it's linked with the SV, the Very Schutzhund in Germany. It shows you how to become a member of the SV as well as Schutzhund USA, and you will see the past Sieger and Siegrens, which are in German for the show winners. Here is a list of winners in the past for confirmation trials. You can also find the obedience trials. Now, the obedience trials are done AKC style. So you will find the initial title is CGC, Canine Good Citizen Test, then the CD, Companion Dog, then the CDX, Companion Dog Excellent, then the UD, the Utility Dog. So those are AKC obedience titles, not to be confused with Schutzhund obedience titles. So if you want to go the AKC route, in terms of obedience titles or show titles, this is an excellent website for the German Shepherd enthusiast who doesn't want to be involved in bite sports but still wants to be involved in obedience or showing their dog. So I encourage you to look at gsdca.org for that kind of information. And please navigate the site and explore it. And I'm not going to go into every detail in this video. The next website is dvg-america.com. This is for all breeds that can do Schutzhund, which are non-German Shepherds. If you look at this website, from the very dogs you see, you will realize here's an American Bulldog doing protection. Uh, the next dog you will see is the Briar, which is a fluffy dog, which is normally a sheepdog. But as long as the dog can do it, it doesn't matter. Here's a Briar or a Briar. I'm not really sure how to pronounce it. A very fluffy, cute dog, but it's here. It's doing protection. It has the drive, so therefore it can do it. The next dog is the Doberman Pinscher, also a dog that can be trained in Schutzhund. Here's a Dutch Shepherd uh, being trained in this sport. So you don't necessarily have to have a German Shepherd to do Schutzhund, and the dvg-america.com website is the place for that development of your dog with clubs which train other breeds but German Shepherds. Of course, Schutzhund USA only works with German Shepherds. And another very similar website to the dvg-america.com website is the awdf.net website. Here it is in the screen. The AWDF is the American Working Dog Federation, and the American Working Dog Federation is responsible for all working breeds besides the German Shepherd. So as you can see in the videos, you see a woman with an American Boxer, you see a Dutch Shepherd, you see Doberman Pinscher. So all activities which are not specific to the German Shepherd are covered on this webpage. Over here, you'll see various pages for some specific breeds, like you will see the Rottweiler, you will see the Doberman Pinscher, you will see every breed and its respective club dedicated to that breed through this website. And also you can see club events on that website. And finally, last but not least, we see the PSA slash American Schutzhund webpage. American Schutzhund is very similar to traditional Schutzhund, but the tracking phase is totally different than in the traditional Schutzhund. And in the protection phase, the stick hits are allowed, and they're now no longer allowed in the traditional Schutzhund. If you're in the middle of a fight with an opponent, that opponent will fight back. So if your dog is trained in protection, a criminal would fight back. Let's say in a police dog, the perpetrator is going to fight back. So in the middle of the dog being outraged in a fight, in the thick of the fight, the opponent will fight back, and the dog expects it. So by creating stick hits, these are not painful. These are rubberized stick, and it's 1 or 2 hits. It's not like the dog is being beaten up. So don't take it the wrong way. It's not like that. But anyhow, it makes for a stronger dog that could withstand being in a fight and fight back. So look at these websites, get your dog, go out and train, have fun, learn from others, learn to how your dog behaves and how to work your dog, and have fun. This video is brought to you by Van Ganta House German Shepherds. Please visit our website, and I encourage you to learn as much as possible about dog sports, and this will lead to the enjoyment of your dog.
NWA Cane Corso's podcast, where we talk all things dogs.
Yes, sir. We back for another one on this good Sunday. Let's go. Let's go. Look who's back in the house.
Hey, man, I'm enjoying the music, man. Come on.
Yeah, it's kicking. Yeah, it's jumping. Yes, sir. Welcome back. Welcome back. All the NWA family. And Gerald, you was asking me before, what does NWA stand for? It's Northwest Arkansas. That's where I'm located.
Because, I was like, wait a minute. How original is that? I'm like, NWA Cane Corso.
Yeah. Somebody said you should change that because it kind of throws people off. Then somebody said you better not change that. That's what made me attract me to you. So I said I better stick with it then. Yes, sir.
Okay, now it makes sense because I thought it was like you love the group.
Yeah, Negro with attitude or something.
Because I saw the tattoo. You had the Easy E tattoo on your shirt, on your chest, right?
No. It's Arkansas over here, boy. Got that A state on there.
Hold on. I got one better for you. Look at that.
Yeah.
What that say?
I can't see it. Mississippi.
There you go.
Yeah.
Mississippi, baby. Right there.
Put some south in your mouth. There we go.
Put it all in your mouth.
Yes, sir. Hey, well, welcome back, NWA family, All World Doberman family. Von Gunter, Haas, Alexander is coming. He's fixing some things. So, Gerald, what's been new in your world, brother?
Man, just trying to keep the mortgage current, man.
Yeah.
I ain't bullshitting that. It's I will tell people who don't live in California, it's a steady grind out here, dog. It's a steady grind, and you may make some good money, but trust me, that money's already spoken for the following or same month. So to do what I do and then enjoy the animals that I have and have somewhat of a normal life, it's a grind. I was talking to somebody the other day. Last night I said, hey man, I just want to go somewhere my mortgage is like $1,000.
Yeah, you gotta come back south. You gotta come back south to do it.
Facts.
Yeah.
Other than that, man, puppy died. I mean, a male grown dog of mine. We had to put him down. But I got a puppy coming. That's supposed to. Well, I got a couple of dogs still.
Right.
But I got this new dog that the mama's an IGP 2 dog, and the daddy is an IGP 3 dog, which is the same father as my boy Titus. But still, again, none of that's just guaranteed that the pup's gonna turn out solid.
Right.
But it increases the chance of me getting what I want in a dog.
Right. Yeah. Well, too, brother, you've been kicking, brother. You've been kicking. Well, I might want to say it like that. You've been kicking all those brothers around on this media stuff too, man. I remember you said I'm trying to make the best content of everybody this year. You don't put on your traveling shoes.
Yeah.
But man, God, dog, boy, you got to be busy.
I got plans. So I hit up Wallace Payne already, who's the godfather of all trainers here in the Shih Tzu world for blacks. It's like he's our Muhammad Ali. No shit. And he'd been doing it before I had driver license.
Right. Shit. What happened? Okay, Gerald, if you see me come back in, I think something happened. I might have hit something trying to get Gerald, get you in here. Gerald, come back in if you could. Hey, Alexander, how's it going, sir?
Hello, how are you? I saw Gerald and then I saw him disappear. Is that?
Yeah. I just told him to come back in. Yeah.
I'll just wait for him to rejoin before I begin. But hello, everybody. Hello to the YouTube family. Nice to be here. I always love being on this show. Always.
Right.
I'll just wait for him a little bit.
Yeah. It's good to see you, Alexander. Sorry,
Thank
Gerald.
you.
I don't know what happened.
Well, you got cricket internet, man. Like, God damn.
Oh yeah. So y'all,
Hello, my friend Gerald. How are you? Hello. Good.
Yeah,
Good.
we got them both here now, guys. So let me just say one thing before we start. I'm gonna hand it over to Alexander. We are now on all major podcast platforms. So you'll see this episode on or hear it on Spotify, Amazon, everywhere. So just to let y'all know we out there too now. Alexander, it's yours, brother.
Awesome. So good morning and good evening to whatever your time zone is.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. So I wanted to introduce you, the audience, to something near and dear to my heart, and I'm sure it's near and dear to Gerald's heart, and I'm sure it's near and dear to Joe's heart. And that is the sport of Schutzhund, which is now called IGP. They keep renaming it IGP, Schutzhund and IPO and
Right.
IGP. They keep making it politically correct. But whatever the case, it's still a Schutzhund. It's been watered down a little bit. I'll get into that a little bit. What is a Schutzhund A and how the Schutzhund 3 level has changed and how the protection phase has changed. We'll go into some of those details in a minute. But I first wanted to talk about the sport. And then after I explain the various parts of the sport, which both Gerald and I participate in, how it affects dog breeding in the working breeds, and in particular how it's used in the German breeds. By the German breeds, I mean the German Shepherd, where the sports originated. It's used in the Doberman, another German breed, the Rottweiler, another German breed, the Giant Schnauzer as another German breed. And I wanted to explain to the audience how in Germany there's a higher standard. Your dog must at first have a Schutzhund 1 title, male and female. Your dog must have an AD, which is running next to a man on a bicycle for 12 miles, about 10 kilometers. After the dog does a 12-mile run to show physical fitness, the dog goes in front of a Kormeister or a Korung, which is a breed surveyor or like a judge, and then gets core classed. It's rated either SG, Zero Good, KKL2, or KKL1 for confirmation. Not to be confused with the confirmation of the show lines. That's a whole different ball of wax. And the breed has been divided into show types and working types for quite some time now. We're going to talk about American German Shepherds versus German German Shepherds, American Dobermans versus German Dobermans, and how, because this sport divides the quality dogs from the pet quality dogs, we're going to talk about the influence of the sport for both of our respective breeds. And I'm going to show the beginner how to get started in the sport. And then we're going to go back and forth and have a conversation. So this is just an introduction. I'm going to give the viewer some resources they can go to. And then I'm going to turn it over to Gerald for his input. But I'll first wanted to give the viewer who is a beginner an introduction. Without further ado, let me give some screens to the audience. They may not be familiar with the sport. Some resources they can go to if they watch this video after the fact that they can go to. I'm going to just share my screen. Let me make sure I'm sharing the right screen. Bear with me. And let me give some audience some information. So the first thing, the person, am I sharing my screen or it's not showing yet?
Yeah.
Did it work?
I'm trying to add it to the stage, but it ain't letting me add it to the stage.
I don't know.
Yeah, I wonder.
Let me stop it and do it again. I don't know.
Yeah, it might be because there's just too many of us on screen. I don't know.
I don't know how it works. Let me share the screen.
Hold on, wait a minute. Let me see something.
Let me try again.
Hold on before you do anything. Let me
I'm not doing anything.
Let me do something on my end. Bam.
That's me, man. I'm at that website called I searched up WUSV. So that's what I was looking up. So no, don't worry about that. Take that one down.
Take that one down. Okay. Bam.
Are you able to?
I like that.
There we go. That's the one I'm sharing.
I like that.
Yeah. Woo! So now,
get them, Joe.
Yeah.
That's the club I'm a part of right there.
Okay. Exactly. So the first thing to understand is there's GermanShepherdDog.com, which is United Schutzhund Club of America. Now, I will say up front that if you remember the AWDF, American Working Dog Federation, AWDF.net, you will have to trial your dog separately from Schutzhund USA. It's the same damn trial. It's the same damn event. You get a BH in the one or you get a BH in the other. BH is the first step in the process. I'll explain it in a second. Then you go on to the Schutzhund 1, Schutzhund 2, Schutzhund 3. They don't recognize each other's titles. So if you have a scorebook from Schutzhund USA, they will not recognize your working titles. You'll have to trial all over again under an AWDF judge, and then vice versa. If you have a title BH, Schutzhund 1, Schutzhund 2, Schutzhund 3 in American Working Dog Federation, and you want to go to a United Schutzhund USA trial, they don't recognize each other's scorebooks. So these is I don't know the politics of it. I'm just letting people know that if you go to Schutzhund USA, you will not qualify for AWDF. If you go to AWDF, you will not qualify for Schutzhund USA. Now, having said all that, Schutzhund USA is a German Shepherd only focused club, whereas AWDF is focused on the Belgian Malinois, the Doberman, the Rottweiler. And so while the other breeds can compete in Schutzhund USA and they'll recognize your breed in competition, the AWDF was started as an answer to the Schutzhund USA being focused exclusively on German Shepherds. It's like, if I don't have a German Shepherd, where else do I go to compete? And that's where AWDF started, American Working Dog Federation. So you can compete with your non-German Shepherd in the Schutzhund USA club, but the AWDF was started as an answer to the heavy focus on German Shepherds only in Schutzhund USA. I just wanted to lay that out. Now, having said that, how do I find? Yeah, go ahead, Gerald. I'm sorry.
I want to say, so with the USCA, the United States Club of America. Well, I've been a member for years.
Me too.
Up until recently, they would allow Dobermans, Rottweilers, etc., in their trials, and they'd be recognized as that particular breed in their scorebook. Up until recently, now you have to join. Like for my Rottweiler, I had to join an actual recognized Rottweiler club here in the United States, and then they would allow me to put Rottweiler in my scorebook when he passes his BH. But if he's not a part of a club, like a Doberman, one of my Dobermans is going for his BH pretty soon. I didn't join the Doberman Club of America here in the United States. They're going to put in the scorebook or in that news article mixed breed. So they just started that. They call them a mixed breed, even though you come up there with an actual Rottweiler or a Bosseron,
pure breed.
Pure breed, they're going to put it in the scorebook as a mixed breed now. And I don't know if that's, from what I've been told, it's more of a political thing. It's politics. Because you clearly see
it's pure politics.
This is a Doberman.
You clearly see it's a pure breed. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But you're going to put them in the magazine as mixed breed. Got it.
Yeah. That's, all right. That's nonsense in my opinion.
I'm going to talk. I'm like,
Nathaniel, exactly. We're going to get into that politics in a second. I just want to give a lot of information, front load the information, and then we're going to get into it. So, and I'm going to explain BH, IGP1, all that really quick. I know a lot of people may know it. Some people may not know it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go through that really quick. I just want to give people resources really fast. Okay. Now, if you don't know how to join, like to become a member of a club, how do I join a club? How do I find people who participate in this sport? How do I find a trainer? Because you can't train bite work on your own, because what are you going to have, the dog biting you? In play mode, you can, tug game. But then when it gets serious, you don't want the dog biting the trainer, who's the owner. You want the dog biting a helper. So you don't want to make a dog bite its own owner. It's part of bite training. So that's why you need to be part of a club. And hopefully they have a good helper. So now, how do you find a club? Well, if you go to Schutzhund USA and you go to clubs and events right off of the main page, you then forget about the show trials. I'm not going to even go there. You'll see a map of the United States broken into regions: New England, Northeast, Mid-Eastern, Southeastern, and so forth. So for Gerald, who's in California, he will click on this part of the map. Whereas I'm in the Northeast, I'm in New Jersey, I'll click on this part of the map. You click Northeastern, Now, Northeastern includes New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, and Connecticut. So that's all Northeast states, and in Maryland. So you would click on where the events are of a specific club on a specific date. But as a consequence of learning where the trials are, like you want to participate in a trial, right? You want to learn the day of your trial. So I could live in New Jersey, but I could show up in a trial in Virginia because that's still considered part of the Northeast. And I'm allowed to participate in any trial in the Northeast. Okay. So as a consequence of learning where the events are, you learn where the clubs are. So here's, for example, as an example, East Coast Schutzhund Police Club Trial, West Westham. I don't know how to pronounce West Hampton. I think it's pronounced. Notice who the owner of the trial is. T. Floyd. Obviously, everybody knows who T. Floyd is. He's on the podium for 30 years, so everybody knows who T. Floyd is. In fact, I had one of the pups from T. Floyd that I helped breed to one of my friend's bitches. So tough dog. So T. Floyd is well known. This is in Virginia. If you live near Virginia, see, these are well known names. Michael Phelps. A lot of these people were Team USA members in the world trials. So these are well known people, highly regarded, 30 plus years usually.
Mike been on the show. Michael Ellis been on the show.
So
yeah.
Mike, of course, these are the ambassadors of the breed. So if you find a trial and you find the club owner, this is the head trainer of that club who owns that club, but also these are breed ambassadors. You want to know something about Schutzhund? These people who are listed, their phone number and email is right here, obviously for everybody to see. So if you want to know how to become a member of a club, don't look for a club, look for a trial, and then you will learn who has clubs.
I'm gonna keep it more simple than that. I'm gonna keep it simple. Yeah. Before you even look for a club or look for a trial, you better get you a dog that's gonna be able to compete.
Well, yeah, obviously, yeah. So you can't get a husky. You need a breed that can participate in this sport. The typical breeds are German Shepherd, Belgian Malinois, Belgian Touverain, and Groendael might be able to do it, although they're too soft, but they might. Doberman Pinscher can perform in the sport, Giant Schnauzer, Rottweiler, and of course the Doberman. These are all the working breeds that participate. Some lesser breeds that might be able to participate is the American Bulldog. It has been known to participate. I have seen a Neapolitan Mastiff, and I have seen a Connie Corso participate.
Al was the first one, the guy who I train with now, Al Benuelos. Yeah. He was the first guy to title a American Bulldog.
Which is very hard. It's a big accomplishment because they train very differently from a Shepherd. And I'm going to go into some of the training differences, Gerald, with you between how you train a Doberman versus a German. They're a little bit different in how you approach the sport. There's a lot of similarities and overlap, don't get me wrong. But when you're training the Malinois type, well, the Doberman is not a Malinois type. The Doberman Pinscher is more of a Pinscher German for Terrier. So there's a little bit of a difference in the grip development in the Pinscher versus a GSD. But I'll get into that. So this is how you find a club, people. Now, the next club I want to point to you is dvg-america.com. Everybody see that website, DVG? DVG and the SV are the two organizations that control all working dogs. So as you can see, you have a Dutch Shepherd in the picture right here. So all breeds which are not German Shepherds, go to dvg-america.com. You have a home here if you have a non-German Shepherd, if you want to participate in Schutzhund or IGP as it's called now. Go to dvg-america.com. You can learn about all non-German Shepherd breeds. For example, here's a Giant Schnauzer participating in Schutzhund. Here's a Dutch Shepherd. So if you don't have a German Shepherd and you want to participate in Schutzhund or IGP as it's called now, go to dvg-america.com for all you non-German Shepherd people who want to participate in Schutzhund. You find a club on this website that way. The other way to find a club, which is a non-German Shepherd club, as I said earlier, is awdf.net, American Working Dog Federation.net. Now, and you can go to clubs and find, now notice you have what? A Doberman. Now, as I said before, If you become a member of the AWDF and you title your dog under their scorebooks, and you go to a Schutzhund USA club, will not recognize your titles. They will
Right.
not take your scorebook. That's just
Yeah.
politics. I don't know why. I don't know why, but that's just how it is.
And I'm gonna
Now,
post the links to all these in the description, so y'all
yes,
can
sir.
go to them. Y'all can go to them and you check them out,
That's right.
and everything. So yeah,
And
yeah,
another sport that is very popular now, but it derived from Schutzhund, is PSA. So PSA
Yeah. Give me a minute, guys.
and
Keep going.
American
Keep going.
Schutzhund.
Keep
Yeah,
going. I just gotta
yeah,
gotta go get the door right quick.
no problem. Now, the American Schutzhund and let me explain the difference between American Schutzhund and German Schutzhund in case people don't know. Okay, everybody can see this website. It's PSA k9-as.org. Again, I'll repeat, PSA k9-as.org. Now, Mr. Bradley was the founder of American Schutzhund, and he was the founder of PSA. PSA is more of a protection dog sport. It's less stylized than Schutzhund. Dogs compete with a bunch of helpers on the field, each trying to distract the dog. Bites are allowed everywhere, not just on the arm, but on the leg, on the body bite suit. It's more like a personal protection sport than Schutzhund. It's less predictable. It's more scenario based. Like a car hijacking is staged, and the dog has to protect against a potential carjacking scenario. So PSA is for the people who want to make it more street real, as opposed to Schutzhund, which is more stylized. Schutzhund is the oldest of the sports because when uh, the founder of the breed, Captain Max von Stephanitz, created the breed in 1899, he needed a way to perpetuate his breed after his death. So he created Schutzhund, which means police dog, or Schutzmann in German is policeman. So he needed a sport that will select dogs of whether breed worthy and whether not breed worthy. And he needed a sport that will out exist him. When he died in 1932 or 1935, I don't remember the year he died. I think it was 1935, about 4 years before the start of World War II. It depends how you count the start of World War II. If you count the attack on Poland, it's 1939. If you count the attack on the Soviet Union, it was 1940. But anyhow, World War II started in 1939. He died in 35, 4 years before World War II started. So he created a sport that would outlive him. Now, a lot of people live in cities and they can't track their dog. Tracking is the third phase in Schutzhund. And a lot of people don't have a field because they don't live in the countryside that we can teach tracking, footstep tracking. So the tracking exercise as footstep tracking of German Schutzhund has been eliminated. So they still have the bite work and the obedience exactly like German Schutzhund because they was started by Jerry Bradshaw, who participated in German Schutzhund for years and years and years. But the tracking has been turned to sniffing, air sniffing versus ground sniffing, more like for search and rescue. It's more similar to how you would train for search and rescue. So it's more trailing than tracking, meaning you're not sniffing the ground with a deep nose, you're sniffing the air around you to find an object and bring it back. So it's more like it's a different way of tracking and it helps people in urban environments. The other part of American Schutzhund as opposed to German Schutzhund is that the protection phase is much more realistic. Stick hits are still allowed, and the goal of the helper is not to test. The goal of the helper is taken seriously. It's to test the dog, as opposed to the dog is carried on a sleeve down the field, and the protection phase is really more like a stylized dance between the dog and the helper. For those who don't know, the dog cannot bite the helper if he freezes. So the helper freezes. The dog is not allowed to bite. The dog must stop and do a bark and hold. Then if the helper moves or attacks the owner, only then the dog can engage. And the dog must break off the attack the moment the helper freezes. That's how the bite work phase is done in Schutzhund. Now, in American Schutzhund, the helper is really pushing the dog the way it used to be in the early 90s in Schutzenhund used to be with stick hits, and the helper was really an opponent to the dog.
Right. Hey,
And
Alexander.
not, yes, sir.
Alexander, I'm not trying to be rude,
No,
but
no,
they're
no.
gonna have to look some of this stuff up on their own. You know.
Yes, no problem.
Yeah,
No
we
problem.
got to get into it because we only
Yeah.
got we on a time restraint.
No problem.
Yeah,
So I'm gonna stop
sorry.
sharing. So now,
Okay.
I just wanted to make one brief comment, and then I'm gonna pass it over to Gerald.
Okay.
People will say, "Well, who are you to talk about Schutzen and what have you achieved in the sport?" I want to clear that right up out of the gate. I've been participating in IGP and IGP clubs since 2001 with my dog Andrew, which was the son of Seti van Leerburg and Sejelan Handorfu. I participated in a club called the Olgemeister Club in Brooklyn, which is 21 years ago. I participated in a club called Alpha and Omega Working Dog Club in South Jersey for a while. I've been in many clubs and I witnessed a lot of dogs participating. I only got a BH and an IGP1 on my dog Jake before he passed away. I don't claim to be a regional competitor or a national level competitor. I'm just a hobbyist at a club level. I'm not at a national level. And I don't claim to be the end all be all of this sport because I've never achieved very high marks either at a regional level or a national level. So I don't claim to be the world's biggest expert on Schutzen or that I have achieved the highest level in terms of titling for Schutzen. But I have participated and I have bred at least a BH title dog in my female and IGP 1 or 2 or 3 dog in my males. I had multiple abdominal surgeries which prevented me from training. I was not able to walk due to abdominal surgeries for a while, so I had personal circumstances that prevented me from competing. So I'm not a national level competitor, and I've never stood on the stage or the podium at a national or regional event. So I don't want to claim to be some high level master, but I do want to use the knowledge I do have to explain the importance of this sport. I'm a student of the sport, and I want to explain how it's valuable in breeding. So I just wanted to qualify my qualifications, and I'm not claiming to be some top level national guy. I'm not. I'm just explaining it to help people and give them information.
Right. Gerald.
Fuck it, I am. I'm an expert. Fuck that. I'm just joking.
Tell them your formula, Gerald. I know you got some really, really tough standards for your dogs.
Here's the thing, guys. I'm not an expert. I'm an expert of the Doberman breed. I am an expert of that shit. So anybody want to get online and challenge that, we can play with it. Let's pull it out, see how big it is, because that part I am. In regards to the Schutzen world, I was exposed to it in 2011, 12. And this go full circle, Joe, because, us Americans, we're more visual. Instead of looking at what the inside is, we look at the outside, right? And so when I was looking at my first Doberman, I didn't realize that not every dog can be a sport dog, right? Just not every dog can take pressure. Not every dog can take prong collars or e-collars or hard corrections. Your killer dog spirit depends on the type of dog. Well, my experience with the Schutzen world, the ring sport world, is during that process, if you want a good, well-rounded dog, putting your dog into a sport competition will give you the magometer as to if this dog is good for even personal protection at home. These sports that we talk about, which is IGP, PSA, we got to read some of these comments because some of these guys are talking about that they talk about that PSA is much better than IGP. I beg to differ. I really do.
I agree with that.
I beg to differ. You do your research, homies, before you say that, because every sport is unique.
Right here, PSA is Taekwondo, IGP is like karate.
No, there was somebody else that's talking about PSA is more realistic or whatever.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know how that's possible when you got 4 decoys throwing plastic balls at you and your dog's supposed to stay focused. I'm like, that's not realistic. Carjacking is realistic. ATM guarding is realistic. Going through a night alley by yourself is realistic. Your dog walking backwards while you walking forward and a defensive handler is realistic. But throwing people jumping at your dog, playing with them, and see if you're going to react is not realistic. But I say that is because, and I get into the differences one sport to the other very briefly because the show is not really about which one's better. I think all sports, Mondio, PSA, French Ring, IGP, all these sports are testing the temperament and the toughness of a dog. Period. And usually the people who are getting these dogs for competition level dogs, they're not trying to use them as a personal protection because once you do all that stuff, they already know how to personally protect. It's all dialed in. They know how to respond to what's a threat and what not is a threat, right? So it's weird because I've gotten rid of dogs that have plateaued at BH but couldn't do the IGP because the training to do the protection phase is much different than the obedience part, right? A case in point, I mean, you have to apply pressure during the dumbbell phase, whether you're going to use the bird dog method or whether you're going to do the force retrieve. You're going to use different methods depending on the dog, but can he take the pressure? That is the key point. And for me, me getting into this sport helps me determine which dog I'm going to keep for personal usage. At this period, if I got 2 cats as a pet, they're not going to be in a sport. Right. So people, and I say when Americans are more visual than realistic, because they get these Dobermans or they get a Rottweiler or they get these exotic working dog, herding dogs for the look and don't realize that sometimes they have that genetic makeup that triggers what they were specifically designed for, and then all of a sudden they got a wild dog. When you do these type of sports like IGP, PSA, when you're doing protection sport training, you're teaching the dog, you're really teaching obedience. Well, that's how I look at it, because now you're teaching the dog how to respond and when to respond. And when he responds, will he listen to you while he's in the heat of the battle? Dogs get tunnel vision real quick. Will they listen to you when you tell them to turn it off? Out! OPA! Will they listen to those commands when they are doing what they love to do, which is eating that ass up? So that's obedience training.
Right. I like to expand on Gerald's point, and that a lot of people say to me, which don't know the sport, they look at it from the outside, is, aren't you teaching a dog to be aggressive when you're teaching it to bite? And aren't you causing the dog to be unsafe because you're teaching it to bite? And the answer is, actually, no, you're teaching the dog to be more safe by teaching it to bite. Because you see, dog sports don't have to teach a dog how to bite. Dog already knows how to bite. Dog knows, just like a dog knows how to eat a piece of chicken. It doesn't have to be taught to eat a piece of chicken. It knows to eat a piece of chicken. So dogs know how to bite because they're just part of being a dog. It's how to bite.
Yeah.
We use our arms, they use their teeth. That's just part of the animal. It's a canine. Now, when you're teaching a dog with the right genetics, that's the key. I'm getting a little echo. I don't know why.
It's on your end. Yeah, I'm not hearing anything.
No, yeah, I don't know. It's okay now, right? It's okay.
Yeah.
I don't hear anything.
Yeah. Okay. So anyhow, when you're teaching a dog to bite, first of all, the bite training is done in stages. First, you teach it in prey drive, where it's taught a tug, a jute tug. Then you're teaching it on a bite pillow. Then you're teaching it on a soft sleeve. Then you're teaching it on a hard sleeve. In the initial phase of learning, the dog is taught that the helper is the guy who steals the prey. He's not an opponent. He's just a guy, that silly guy that steals the prey. The dog is taught the mechanics of engaging and not being afraid of a human being in a game of tug of war. As the dog matures, and some breeds are slower to mature than others, and some dogs are slower to mature than others, eventually by 18 to 24 months, you switch it up on the dog. Now you put the dog into defense, where he sees the helper as an opponent, and defense drive is aggression drive. It's either fight or flight. Now, the dog now works in a combination of prey drive and defense drive, and does what something called fight drive, the need to win an opponent against an opponent. and the dog is working under anger and pressure and adrenaline. But when you're teaching that dog out or aus in German, aus is in German for out. The dog must drop the sleeve, not should drop the sleeve, must out the sleeve. And the dog attacks the sleeve and the helper froze and he's frozen, but the dog still keeps biting even though the helper froze, that dog is DQ, disqualified. So biting under command and releasing under command and being called off of a bite, like the man is in the blind, right? Dog is doing a bark and hold, like it's a rhythmic woof, woof, woof. Now the dog bites in a high-pitched voice. It's a high-pitched, it's working in prey. If it's a deep guttural bark, woof, woof, with a deep bark, the dog is working in defense. It wants to show power to the opponent. And the judge is listening how the dog is barking. He's listening, he's barking in a high-pitched, excited bark because he's flushing game, so he's in prey, or the dog is barking in a deep guttural bark, which is he's putting the fight to the man. No matter how the dog barks, when you call him back into the heel position, Fuß, which means heel in German, back to my left leg into the basic position on my left leg, dog better disengage and go back to your left leg.
Let me ask something.
So that's control. That's you're teaching the dog obedience. He's obedient under the pressure of wanting to bite.
Let me ask something before we get into all that. How the hell you even pick a puppy for this? You know what?
I don't want to dominate the time. Gerald, you answered and I'll answer. Go ahead.
Well, it's not a science, but it's experience. So here's the deal. Before we got on live, I said I'm getting a new puppy. The father's an IGP 3, the mama's an IGP 2. But it still doesn't guarantee anything. Pack leader roles change in a puppy. Puppies' demeanors change as they're growing. And also it's about environmentals. So for me to pick a pup, and I'm going off of my experience, I look for the pup. I'll look for the badass. I'll look for the one that's kicking everybody's asses when it's time to eat. He's taking everybody's food. I'll look for the pack leader. I'll look for the one that when noises are being brought into the room, he's running towards the gate and not away from it. And the size is really not the most important thing, because I've seen where the smallest dog end up being the biggest dog when he gets to his destination of permanent destination, because they don't have to compete for food anymore. So I look for character, and that's for the intangibles. When it comes to the tangibles, I look at the circumference of the head, the muzzle. For Dobermans, they got to have the dark eyes. Of course, eye color changes when they're this young, right? The hips. And if they're at 10 weeks, 12 weeks, and I'm picking them out, I'm looking at do they have those nice tight paws that sits like this versus like this? I'm looking at a lot of different things. And again, still, people, there's no such thing as a perfect dog.
That's right.
And so I it's a lot of ways that I look at it, but also because I import all my males.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I import all of them. I don't buy something here locally. Never. I have. That was 15 years ago, dog. But I get imported, and I have connections from a guy in Poland who is not only a respected person in the Doberman community, but he also has been a judge in some of the big time dog shows. And by the way, I'm going to my first dog, Ohio, Malinois. Appreciate it. Boom.
Thank you.
So, thank you. So now,
hurt our pockets.
Yes. So now, I'm going to go to Croatia and go to my first IDC show in my life, and I'm going to be meeting, like we say in the black community, hundreds. I'm going to meet hundreds of breeders. And that's how you really, because see, we're not from Europe, right? But because we don't speak the language, we're not from the culture, we just buy from them because they got the best.
Mm-hmm.
But if you are connected with somebody over there who got your back, who knows what you want, you golden. Right? Because there's a lot of times you buy a dog from somebody based on pictures, not video, not WhatsApp camera, not FaceTime, but pictures. And that dog is not the same dog that you got. What you gonna do? You gonna fly out there in Russia and kick some ass? No, you come back home in the U.S. without a head. You're just saying.
You got to have a connection over there.
Boom.
Somebody, you got to.
I wanted to touch on a couple of points one by one. First of all, I'll explain how I pick my dogs, which is how we started, and then I'll talk about buying from Europe. I'll touch both points. So for me, for those who know me, you know that I breed working lines, not show lines. Now, this audience may not be a German Shepherd or Doberman audience, so I'll just break it down really quickly. The German Shepherd now is divided into 5 subtypes. There is the American show line, which is a pet quality line. The West German show line, which is a conformation line without the right temperament. They're usually the black and red dogs you see. You have the Czech working line, which was derived from the East German line when it existed. Some people claim there is still an East German line. I don't believe it's true, because the Deutsche Democratic Republic went down in 1989 when the Berlin Wall went down, and the Soviet Union fell apart in 1991, for those who don't remember or who are not old enough to remember. So DDR dogs disappeared with the fall of the Soviet Union, and that bloodline went into making the Czech dogs, but not completely, because the Czech dog is a derivation of the East German dog, which had West German blood, and there's the West German working line. So to repeat, American show line, West German show line, DDR, Deutsche Democratic Republic, Czech line, and West German working line. I primarily breed West German working lines. There used to be significant differences between Czech working lines and West German working lines. The balance of prey to defense was different. A West German working line was 80% prey and 20% defense, and the East German lines were 80% defense and 20% prey, which made them very good for personal protection or police dogs, but did not make them very good for sport dogs. For a sport dog, you want a heavy prey drive dog, not a heavy defense drive dog. You want a balanced dog, don't get me wrong, but you're not going to get a 50-50 dog, no matter what the hell you do. Now,
let me ask you something, Alexander.
Right.
And this is for both of y'all. How far? Drew, I think I know what you're gonna say, and I'm gonna duck when you say it. How far back in the pedigree are you guys concerned as far as what you want to see that's in front of you?
For me, the pedigree really matters. Now, for those of you who watch my other videos, you know I'm a student of the coefficient of inbreeding. The Hardyman coefficient of inbreeding goes back only 5 generations. The right coefficient of inbreeding goes back 10 generations or more. Now, if a dog is 4 generations back, the dog you have in front of you only has 1/256th of the genes. 1/256th of the genes. That means it's nothing. So unless that dog was line bred on, if let's say it's in the 3rd and 4th generation and you repeated him several times in the pedigree, now you've genetically increased his influence, but it still doesn't matter because he's a great grandfather. So a lot of people breed based on the fact that they have this famous name or that famous name in the pedigree, and they're selling you pups purely based on the accomplishments of a past ancestor or 2 or 3. Now, don't get me wrong; those past ancestors are important because they create your bloodline. But unless you're line breeding on those ancestors, but you've accomplished nothing with the dogs themselves, then you are fooling people into thinking that you have great dogs when you have not accomplished anything yourself with those dogs. So does pedigree matter? Yes. Also, I wanted to mention very quickly, and then I'll let Gerald make his point, is that you have to be very careful with former countries of the former Eastern Bloc, the former Warsaw Pact countries. By that I mean Bosnia, Macedonia. Now remember, there's Northern Macedonia, which used to be part of Yugoslavia, and there's Macedonia, which is part of Greece. So when we're speaking of Macedonia, I'm speaking of Northern Macedonia, which was part of Yugoslavia. Croatia was part of Yugoslavia. So when I'm speaking of Bosnia, Croatia, Northern Macedonia, not to be confused with Macedonia, which is in Greece, but that part that used to be part of Yugoslavia was because one country became 7, for those who don't know. Czechoslovakia, which was now the Czech Republic and Slovakia. If you're dealing with former Romania, Hungary, if you're dealing with Eastern Bloc countries, remember 65 Ukrainian kronen is $1 American, or 65 of their dollars is one of our dollars. So $1,000 US is not a lot of money in today's economy, but it's 65 to 1 or 80 to 1 ratio in converting our currency to their currency. So if you're getting a dog from any Eastern Bloc country, you might get a dog what's called hung papers. The dog in front of you is not the pedigree that you were promised. It's a dog which has an artificial pedigree, which makes it look like the dog in front of you. But in reality, that dog in front of you is not genetically that pedigree you saw. That's what Gerald was saying. Now, that's not true of Western countries like Netherlands or Germany, but it is true of former Warsaw Pact countries. You have a dog with a fake pedigree. So you have to have a hookup of a broker that'll hook you up with the right people. Like I just bought a dog from Germany, for those who saw my channel, from the Perot kennel in Germany. That's one of the premier kennels in Germany. They don't want to sell us the good dogs. They want to keep the good dogs for themselves. And they want to sell, pardon my French, they want to sell us the shit and keep the good stuff for themselves. You have to build a relationship with those people over time. I had a relationship I built over 4 years before he sold me a puppy. Not because they just don't trust us Americans. They want to keep the good stuff with themselves. So if you're buying from an Eastern European country, make sure you have a person who speaks Czech or who speaks Romanian or who speaks Croatian, which is a Yugoslavian language, that will hook you up with the real people and not just buying your own, because you will get scammed.
So, Gerald, what is your thoughts on dogs? How far back in the pedigree are you concerned with?
Let me put it like this. I'm glad you asked, Joe.
Oh shit,
Smoking Joe. First of all, prayers to the George Foreman family.
That's right. Yeah. Smoking Joe Frazier. That's right.
Yeah, very influential man. He changed the game for all of us single bachelors for the George Foreman grill.
Hey, Gerald, you I thought about something today since George Foreman's passing, and it was with the German Shepherd. You remember what happened when he got off the plane to fight Ali?
What happened?
They turned on him because he got off the plane with a German Shepherd. Yeah. And that was the same dog they used on the people.
Yes.
In Africa, right.
Therefore,
the Thriller in Manila, right.
Yeah.
Well, the German Shepherd, historically speaking, and I get to your question, they was used at Auschwitz, they was used in the Holocaust, they was used in the civil rights. Mm-hmm. They were always been used against man.
Yeah,
and that's the bad stigma about it. But they are great. They are the trendsetters of dogs that can do great things too. You know, there was 2 dogs behind enemy line in World War II, and that was a giant Schnauzer and a Doberman. But I digress in history. Okay. So
yes,
but that's an interesting point, man, about that, because first of all, George Foreman was hated coming to Africa. Remember they were saying Ali Boombaye, Ali Boombaye. So, but
right.
Shout out to George Foreman, though.
Yes, sir.
So I'm old enough to remember that fight.
Yeah,
I saw them in the 70s. Yeah,
you know what? And that was like the first real type of pay-per-view. Like
that's right.
Yeah.
Right.
But for me, pedigree is ultimately important. But I only go back. The max I go back 3 generations. But if I go back 3 generations, I want to see line breeding. I want to see the sire on both sides. What's more important to me, first and second, and I always say this to people, my last name, people, is Antoine. Of course, it's been that way for hundreds of years, blame it on the Louisiana Purchase. So figure that out if you paid attention in school. But to say that some of my ancestors came from France. So do I look French to you as far as Anglo-Saxon French, from 200 years ago? No, I don't. But when you talking about great-grandparents, that's what they probably look like. So it doesn't matter. that gene is washed out with other genes from other family members from the maternal and the paternal side. Right. I want to say this, that second generation is very important to me, and I have to see in my field, I like to have some show titles, but I like to see just as many working titles because I want my dog to look good while they work good. Because if 100% working Doberman is being presented as 100% working Doberman, he's going to be ugly as fuck. He's going to be small, but he's going to have the heart of a lion. But for me, I like to have, I pay close attention to the grandparents and the parents. Those are very, very important to me. If I see a ZTP in the second generation only, or an IPO1 in a second generation only, and none of that shit in the first generation, I'm not too excited. I'm not too excited. So for me, first of all, the parents are very important to me. And unlike most Americans who don't understand line breeding, I'm a very big fan of that because that tells me that the breeders are breeding for a specific trait, whether it's looks or temperament or both. I can't, as a guy that is an expert in Doberman, the Doberman breed, walk on a field in Compton with a dog that looks great, but he works like shit.
I agree.
Can't do it. Won't do it.
I agree with Gerald 100%. I had a dog named Andrew who was from Border Patrol lines, the Pakharjane Straza, for those who don't know. And for those who are into the Czech lines, I don't know the audience, but I'll just name a couple of names. So you have the Equidius line, well-known Czech line. You have the Genopo line. You have the Tierhoek line. Now the Tierhoek line and the Genopo line, Jinopo, Tierhoek, Tierhook, those are the Czech lines with a lot of aggression in them, a lot of suspicion. They go back to the East German blood. The Equidius line is a sporty line. The Carthago line is a sporty line. So even though it's Czech, it depends on the line. That's why line breeding is important. So if I say to a person who knows lines, I got a dog from the Genopo line from the Czech Republic, boom, you have a high defense, high aggression dog. People instantly know that's a high aggression, high suspicion dog. Now, if I tell a person I got a dog from the Carthago line, oh, you have a high sport drive dog. Or take, for example, the Karl Fuller line. Karl Fuller was a farmer in Germany. German Shepherds herd in what's called the tending style. I'll take a second to explain that because herding is a working title. So the dogs create a fence, between the sheep. So imagine a fence, left dog, right dog, and the sheep are in between. So the dog prevents the sheep herd from grazing to a field, not in between the two dogs. So you have the Kirschenthal line, Kerchntal, Kirschenthal line. That was developed by Karl Fuller as a herding line with a proclivity to sheep. So if I say to a person, I got a Kirschenthal dog, right, to a German Shepherd breeder, which has been around 30 years, right? Boom, it's a show line with ability to herd. So line breeding is very, very important because when you're line breeding, you're concentrating specific traits. That's why I have so many videos on line breeding, because when you're line breeding for a purpose. So if you have scattered bred dogs, you have no purpose. You're just creating dogs for the pet market. And the pet people, they don't care because they're not out to compete. They just want a nice pet. Right. Don't get me wrong. I have nothing against pet people. The majority of my buyers are pet buyers. In fact, the majority of buyers are the pet market.
Yeah, they're going to be family homes. Yeah.
They want a family dog. So I'm not going to say no to those buyers, but they have to. I take a 45-minute phone call. We get to know each other. And I want to know they can handle the dog I'm selling. Now, I'm not selling a Malinois, which is all drive all the time. I'm selling a German Shepherd. So they can be pets. But I am selling a higher drive dog than the average pet owner can handle. So I want to make sure they're qualified to handle a dog of this caliber. They're not wild. They're not crazy. I'm not saying they are. But what I'm saying is you have to vet the audience buying this kind of a dog, that they can handle this kind of dog. And that's a very important point. You
Yeah.
have to match the right buyer with the right dog, because if a person is a 90-pound woman and she's buying a 120-pound Mastiff, she shouldn't buy that dog. She can't handle it. A dog
Yeah.
pulls her, she'll fall down.
That's
What I'm
right.
saying
That's right.
is,
You got to have that puppy application too, to to see who
right,
you're talking to. Yeah.
exactly. And
Yeah.
so you have to be, you cannot be indiscriminate of who you sell these powerful dogs to.
Right.
So
Right.
while I like a very powerful dog for sport, which will intimidate the opponent, the helper, I also understand that the dogs I sell cannot be over the top and will be more than the average person can handle. So if the
Right.
average person can only handle a Ford Pinto with a 83 horsepower engine, and I'm selling them a dog with a 500 horsepower engine, that dog is too much dog for that person.
That's right.
So you have to understand pedigrees, but you have to also understand who are you marketing these dogs to. So it's a very, now in the same litter, you could have two very powerful male and female, but they may not reproduce themselves. They themselves may be very good working dogs with Schutzhund 3 titles, but it
Right.
doesn't mean every puppy is a Schutzhund 3 keepable dog.
That's
You have the
right.
milder puppy, which is more laid back. You have the very gregarious puppy, which is very uh, social and very friendly, not
Right.
reserved at all. And then you have the dog, which is work, 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 work,
Right.
and that's all that dog wants to do.
But a lot.
You as the breeder
That's
have
what
to
I
figure
tell
that
people.
out.
You have to figure out what the breeder is breeding for, and that's what the breed. If he lines up with what you want, that's what you want to. That's the
Correct.
type of man you want to go with.
That's
Hey
right.
guys, we running out of time. I'm gonna get some questions and comments in right quick. So Jordan, what's up, brother? Everywhere breeders do that, you're not getting the best dog unless the relationship is there. That's overseas. I'm thinking of talking about. I've had this experience taking my GSD to nursing homes. Certain older folks really hate that breed. That was going back to when we was talking about the George Foreman. That's Joe. How you doing, sir? Why do you stay away from American dogs?
That to me or to Gerald?
To Gerald. We got 3 minutes, y'all.
Well, the one reason is that the breeders don't know what the fuck they're breeding for. They're breeding for the look and not for specific traits. And two is most of them, they don't work their dog. They don't know what their dog's capable of. They don't know if they're breeding skittish dogs or dogs that look pretty but can't scared to piss on a tree. It's just so they don't know what the fuck. It's all about looks, man. Even with these Frenchies, it's all about looks. Ain't about nothing intangibly.
Yeah,
So,
and you have, yep. And not to cut in, but really quickly, and a lot of people who are breeding dogs, which are getting into the game for money only.
Yeah.
A lot of the Frenchy people and the poodle cross breeders, the doodle breeders, they're in it for the latest fad dog. They're in it for the money. You have to love dogs and you have to love your breed.
You gotta love the breed.
You gotta love the
breed.
You gotta love the breed, or you can't stay in this for the long run. You have to be
if
in the game for the
money,
right reasons.
You're gonna lose.
Yeah, you're gonna.
That's right. That's right. That's exactly right.
Right. Anyone on the panel in the chat familiar
Yes,
with the
I am.
Donovan picture?
Yes, I am.
What you know about it?
It's a breed developed by Mr. Donovan in Long Island. He crossed multiple bully types with the Belgian Malinois and the Dutch Shepherd. I know he had a lot of legal trouble for puppies being hung, and I know he went to jail over it. And that's all I can say about it.
Oh,
I never heard of him.
That's him. Yeah, that's right there. Gerald, Ohio Malinois, man. What's up, friend? Gerald, if you could start over today, what would you do differently with your breeding program?
I would definitely go visit the kennels overseas, build a rapport with the breeders, and do research on what I'm looking for versus what I'm seeing. A lot of times you get into a breed because you love the breed and then you go by what you saw and not what the dog can actually do, the utilities of the dog. So I would definitely have more rapport with a particular breeder, whether it's overseas or in the United States. Because usually when you get with a breeder, that's the only time you talk to them is when you're about to buy.
Right.
And then after that, the only time you talk to them after that is when something fucked up about the dog. Oh, the dog's sick. He's pooping worms. What should I do? I want my money back. Can I get a rerun? It's your fault.
Gerald, you got one of the most unique. I never heard of an all stud service ever until I met you. I don't know what made you think about that.
Well, I mean, think about it. It's 15 minutes of fun. That's it. Come on, man. And I'm getting paid for it. Yeah. And my boys are proven. Hold on, they proven on the field and off the field. And proven means they produce good dogs.
Right.
On the field, they've been tried and tested.
Yeah.
Right. You see what I'm saying? So I got 3 to pick from.
And then you fooling with some respected trainers. The boys you be messing with over there in Cali, boy.
You got to.
Yeah. Man, you look French. That's because my parents are white. Can those likes be put out there for us who are?
Give me a minute, guys. You keep going with it. Give me a minute.
Okay. Can those likes be put out there for us who are enthusiasts so we make more read on them? I don't understand that question.
I think he wants more shares of this video, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah, like and share the video, guys.
Right.
And like I say, we on all podcast platforms right now.
I think I wanted to add one key point, and that is when people are dealing with responsible breeders, they're dealing with people who hip test their dogs, do genetic testing. For example, one Willebrand's disease, which is similar to hemophilia, but it's not hemophilia. It's very common in Dobermans. In German Shepherds, degenerative myelopathy is very common. Mm-hmm. So you have to deal with people who are into dog sports, into genetic testing, into hip and elbow testing, and that affects puppy prices. Because if a breeder goes through the expense of titling their dog, hip and elbow testing their dog, genetically testing their dog, those are all expenses the breeder went through to produce a quality animal to you, the buyer. So they've added a lot of value to that dog and their breeding program. At the same time, you can't then therefore expect a terribly low price. So people who are buying on price and they want people to compete on price are doing a disservice to the breed, because the breeders like me and Gerald, which title their dogs, compete with their dogs, do genetic testing of their dogs, we incur a cost to do all those things, but we charge a very fair price for our puppies as a consequence. So the training of dogs and the genetic testing of dogs leads to a better dog, which is not going to be skittish. It's not going to fall apart every time it sees something because of weak nerves. And I think that the dog buying public needs to be aware that these training and genetic testing and all these regimens cost the breeder time and money. And as a consequence, the consumer is getting a better dog. For example, it costs $4,000 to fix the bad hip for hip surgery for a dog which has significant hip dysplasia. So 2 bad hips, bilateral hip dysplasia, will wind up costing consumer $8,000. Right. Now, if it's bilateral, it's usually genetic. If it's usually one hip, it's usually environmental. What I'm saying though is that the cost of testing against von Willebrand's disease, which is common in Dobermans, against DM, which is common in German Shepherds, OFA hip x-rays, titling your dog, trialing a dog, going to trials which are out of your local area, which I showed that map. I can try all the way in Maryland if I have to go to a trial, provided my dog is ready for a trial. My point is that there's a lot of cost in hotel fees and competition entrance fees, and that leads to better dogs, but it also leads to slightly higher prices.
Right. Let me get this question in.
How about that one from Ohio mom says?
Yeah. Which one was it?
Right here it says, are tariffs affecting the price of the dog?
Oh, yeah.
What's affecting the price of dogs? I didn't hear that.
No, right above that.
So the tariffs affected the prices of dog imports. Gerald, you would know.
Let me chime on that one. So there are no tariffs for the dogs. The only tariff you pay is whatever you tell your breeder to put down on what the invoice you pay for. However, the price of the dog that is going up, it's going up because of the cost of shipping. The dogs can no longer be shipped over here in the United States per CDC regulations until the dog is 6 months or older. Well, if that's the case, guess what? The weight of the dog goes up, the size of the crate goes up, and now for us Doberman breeders
and German Shepherd breed. I just
and
imported.
German Shepherds.
I had this. I have faced this exact problem. I just imported a 6-month-old puppy.
Yeah. So for Dobermans, it's a little bit different because now the ears are going to be done, but guess what? The breeder has to do all the taping. So I love that part. So when the dog comes to me, the ears are done. They're standing.
There you go. Yeah.
They're standing. So are the tariffs affecting? No. But the cost of shipping? Yeah. But you know what? When you're importing a great dog or potentially great dog for your program, money is not supposed to be a real issue. Now, of course, overpricing, I get it. But a good dog, $6 to $8 grand shipped, it's not a bad price. And you look at everything.
Yeah, I have the exact same point. Yeah. I am not going to disclose the exact amount, but it's in that range. Yeah. Gerald mentioned. I paid extra because at a 6-month-old, the weight of the dog is higher. Now I have to also pay the breeder now basically a board and train fee because
correct.
I own him at 8 weeks, right? But now he has to raise him for 4 more months. Now he's your dog, but he's boarding and training him, or just at least boarding him. Now you're paying feeding costs, veterinary costs because he's fully vaccinated now. He got microchipped because that happens at a later age, right? Bottom line is you're paying more, but in my case, I'm line breeding on Yukon Van Perot. In my case, and the dog has a phenomenal pedigree. But a lot of the dogs in my line, Wukan Van Perot, Lennox Van Fenhill, Yukon Van Perot, so that dog genetically matches my existing dogs and will increase my line breeding percentages on those great dogs. So for me, it was well worth it. And also, there's a lot of potential in this dog that had I got an American dog for the same money, yeah, I could have gotten probably a green dog, not an IGP-1 dog, but a green dog for $8,000 pretty easily. An IGP-1 dog is about $14,000. A Schutzhund 3 dog is at least $25,000 to $40,000. For those who don't know prices, those are the real prices. For a Schutzhund 3 dog, you're not going to get it under 25 grand. But bottom line is, yes, you're getting a puppy and you're paying 6 to 8 grand, but you're getting a lot of quality by getting from Europe, and it's well worth it, especially if you understand what you're buying and why you're buying.
But let me ask y'all this, because somebody, they're gonna kick me in the butt if I don't ask. Said, but is it not enough dogs over here still yet that we don't have to keep importing?
It's not because there's not enough dogs. It's because the dogs don't have the right drives for the sport.
Okay.
So you have a dog high in prey drive, high in defense drive, but with the nerve strength to handle it. See, you can have a dog which is high prey drive. Like take, for example, a Chihuahua, right? Chihuahua is a nasty little dog. They have a lot of prey drive and they have a lot of defense drive because they're held in the pocket of the owner. So they feel they have to protect the owner, but they don't have the nerve strength, the smallest thing, and they want to bite. So it's not about the drives, it's about drive thresholds.
Right.
It takes a while to trigger a dog with good nerves.
Right.
But a dog which has a lot of drive but doesn't have good nerves, that's not a dog you want. That dog will be washed out at the BH stage. During the BH, you do a temperament test, and the dog can't handle a crowd or a man on the bicycle, or in other words, the BH is the obedience phase is first, but then there is a crowd handling phase or a temperament phase second. And so the dog, it's not a matter of drives, it's also a matter of nerves.
Right, right.
And the dogs here are not tested for that. Therefore, you're not getting the nerve strength to handle that high drive. In other words, what's the point of having a dog which is high drive, but then it turns on you and bites the handler because it can't get drive satisfaction? Right, I've seen clubs where the Dutch Shepherd bit its own owner and redirected against its own owner because it had a lot of drive, but it didn't have good nerves.
Gotcha.
So that's the reason you want to import.
Right. So look at here, guys. We done run out of time. I had so much I wanted to ask. Gerald, I'm gonna put you on the hot spot. I want to go inside the breed clubs next time we hook up. Tell them what it's like, because I had some questions about gatekeeping in the clubs and things like that. So
I don't know, man. You got Big U just got arrested, and all these loose cannon and Blueface, all these rolling 60 guys, man. Gatekeeping's got to be important now, boy.
Yeah.